All right, let's light this candle. Intro music. Welcome, everyone, to Automox's CISO IT podcast. My name is Jason Kikta, and I am the CISO at Automox. With me today is Tom Boyer and Henry Smith. And why don't each of you introduce yourselves?
Hey, everyone. Tom Boyer, and I'm the Director of Security and IT here at Automox.
Hey, everyone. I'm Henry, Senior Application Security Engineer, working under these lovely individuals.
So today we're going to do a special episode and a little bit out of sequence, but with the news from last week of the AnyDesk compromise, we felt it was important to move up our production schedule and talk about this one specifically because we've seen a fair amount of confusion out there. And also, I think that it probably hasn't gotten the level of focus that it deserves simply because of everything else going on with the ongoing public exploitation of Avanti. But this is a separate issue, and this AnyDesk compromise is pretty serious because it is the loss of control of a code signing certificate. So this is a systemic risk to the entirety of the internet. If you run Windows, you're at risk here. What we know so far, based on AnyDesk's public statement as well as a few news reports, is that unknown threat actors at an unknown time for an unknown duration compromised at least their most recent, until last week, code signing certificate for Windows, as well as other things within their environment. And so AnyDesk released a new version of their Windows executable, their Windows version, with a new code signing certificate. And we do recommend that you upgrade to that certificate immediately. However, the real risk here is not AnyDesk. The risk is that code signing certificate. You don't steal the code signing certificate for a popular piece of software to necessarily masquerade as that software. That is a thing that you could do, but it's not the most bang for your buck because you can use this to sign arbitrary malware. And I'll say as well, I've been watching across the InfoSec community over the weekend and today as people have been looking for AnyDesk in their environment. And so far, I haven't seen anyone come back and say, oh, we had less AnyDesk than we thought. I've even seen people say, we don't have any AnyDesk. And then, oh, actually, we have dozens or hundreds. So this is, I wouldn't just take that for granted. And again, this applies to you whether you're an AnyDesk customer or not, because that malware could have been out there. Any potential malware that was signed, may have been in your environment for some time. And I think the other aspect that's causing a little bit of confusion is while AnyDesk says that they have revoked the certificate and presumably Microsoft's regular updates to Windows should include those updated certificate revocation lists, that only applies when you start new execution of a program. So if that malware is there and it's on disk and someone tries to fire it up brand new, that should stop it. But if the process is already running and loaded in memory, or any prior execution of that malware that happened and enables someone to compromise your environment, that CRL is not going to, that's just not what it's designed to do. It's not going to help you there. So Tom, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, two things come to mind. First, is this an EV cert or not? Right? And that's still something I'm trying to understand. Nothing in their official update. I mean, I haven't done too much research around it, but an EV cert is X times more valuable than a standard code signing cert just because of, the bypasses it provides you in Windows, through Smart Screen and the like. And, second, how long, right? No TTPs, nothing in the report, right? Who accessed the system, how, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just extremely disappointed that,
Yeah,
here
I
we
don't
are
know if we're
again.
talking about years, months, days, weeks, hours. Like we don't know because they haven't given us any data on that.
Yeah. And, as a practitioner, right, it's like, I just search for AnyDesk and update it. Like, am I not looking for anything else? Right? Like, you got to give me something here.
No, I
Something.
think that's why we went into, here at Automox, we went into overdrive on Friday because our immediate concern was, hey, how do I know that there aren't executables lurking in the Windows portion of our environment that that have been signed with this certificate? Certificate types, binding a certificate to a certificate purpose is only as good as the enforcement. So,
Right.
we sat down with our worklet team here and had them write a PowerShell script to be able to search those system and user certificate stores on Windows to search for any EXEs or MSIs on disk that were signed with this. And, we immediately realized that this is not only useful to us, but it's useful to and not only to our customer base, but this would be useful to the public as well. So we worked late into the night Friday and published that thing in a blog, and it's on Automox's website if anyone's interested in it. But we wanted to try and get something out there to help people to fix the issue, right? Because I think that's something that people don't always understand well, is that security's role in these types of incidents is to find the issue, whereas it's usually IT's responsibility, depending on the system and the structure of it, but it's usually IT's responsibility to fix it. So our unique capabilities and posture here as an IT company, but one with high security awareness, really made us feel sort of I don't know if inclined's not the right word. It's really, almost obligated to try and help out where we could, because this is going to be one of those long tail, painful vulnerabilities that we see for a long time. Correct, Henry?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. I also feel like, code signing certs aren't just used to sign like MSIs and EXEs, right? You can also sign PowerShell.
Yep.
Right. And there's a big push to move in the industry to move to like fully signed PowerShell execution, right? I'm only going to execute PowerShell from trusted known providers. And, there's a unique opportunity here to pull down, grab your favorite post-exploitation PowerShell and sign it with this stolen certificate and run it. Right. That's where my head is in all this. And, I'm just really disappointed in the public statement.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep harping on AnyDesk, but their lack of transparency there is really disappointing to see. They didn't even put like the certificate hash in the statement or like that.
We had to go search those down through third parties.
Right.
that was mind blowing to me.
Yeah, and I think one thing that really stood out to me is how many details around this incident were essentially crowdsourced based on evidence that security researchers found. For example, like the change log of the AnyDesk Windows application stating they were rotating the code signing cert. That was on, I think, January 29th. So why did it take someone reading the change log and reporting on it for the news to come to light about that? Why wasn't that included?
Why did people have to find out from security researchers on Twitter who read a change log and said,
yeah,
yeah,
and then and the whole thing, well, it's not ransomware. Okay. That's not the only thing that we have to worry about.
Yeah, there's a lot more to worry about than ransomware, certainly. Just kind of mind numbing. And on that topic of other things, there's another narrative floating around out there that is separate from the threat of the code signing certificate. And it has to do with user credentials for the for AnyDesk's support portal. And Henry, you've looked into this a bit. Could you tell us more what's going on here?
Yeah, so from what I was reading this morning, there's one security blog, I think it's Resecurity, put out a blog just following the AnyDesk incident, mainly with customer credentials being leaked and published for sale on the dark web. And my understanding is they actually reached out to some of the individuals that were in the sample dump that was provided on the dark web. And they were active accounts. Like, these customers didn't even know that this was a problem, and they learned about it from ReSecurity reaching out. And another thing too that really caught my eye was, I think they said the majority of the leaked credentials didn't have 2FA turned on. We've been talking about 2FA forever. Turn it on.
Well, and I think that's, that's where, I saw this piece in the Register where someone had looked at it and said that, hey, there are a lot of these in here that have been, in previous dumps. And so I think seeing so many combo lists that surface again and again, it's easy to lose track of whether or not this is, new data or old data. But I think, if they haven't changed it as a result of those old compromises, then they're still at risk. And B, if there was a new compromise and that is indeed been rolled in, then that's new risk that you have to worry about. And also, if you're not using 2FA, and if you reuse credentials, like that, to me is the most worrisome. Is it's not whether or not someone can come in and pose as my administrator and put in a support ticket. While that is dangerous, hopefully AnyDesk is going to overcome that with good verification procedures. I don't know that I'd hang my hat on it, but hopefully. But if you've reused the credentials to manage that with which you used to manage AnyDesk, and you reuse those in the customer portal, and you weren't using a single sign-on solution, then that actor, the actors are going to try that. They're going to give it a try. And if there's no 2FA, then onward they go, and now they can own you a different way.
Yeah. And I think, the unfortunate reality is, if you have a public facing portal, it's going to be subject to password spraying. And as a business, you just got to understand, like, yeah, we trust our customers to use safe and secure passwords. But, if you look at the 23andMe case recently, like, did they do anything wrong legally? No. But, the court of public opinion actually absolutely railroaded them because of all the, reused passwords within their app. And they got in and they were able to pivot through all these other people's DNA history. And right, it's like, that's just another avenue you got to understand. Like, that's a risk. Like, I gotta prevent people using compromised and insecure passwords in my platform. It's just another thing. It's just the reality of how the world works today, right?
Not to mention, the information they could take from just the AnyDesk portal can be used to, in targeted phishing campaigns.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, it's one of those multifaceted risks that can go in a lot of unexpected directions. So
yeah,
regardless of your exposure, or really your perception of your exposure to it, you should immediately move to mitigate that. So, cool. All right, Henry and Tom, any closing thoughts?
I'm going to steal Henry's, but turn on two-factor.
I think my closing thought is, there's still a lot of unknowns, but it's one thing I take away from this is that it's paramount to protect those code signing keys. Like, it cannot be stressed enough. We've seen it also time and time again. Not to name any companies, but one thing in particular I'm thinking of is NVIDIA. They were one in the news where I believe malware was actually deployed using one of their code signing certs. So protect those at all costs.
Absolutely. And I think the thing that I'm going to leave everyone with is, when these code signing certificates have been in the wild for an unknown period of time, this is where, you need to not look at the immediate task, not over focus on the immediate task of upgrading the affected software, but really do a thorough scrub of all of your potentially impacted systems to make sure that, anything that has that certificate is found, investigated, and removed, and you need to get on it right away. And so whether you use the script that we put in our blog, by all means, please do. But if you have another method, whatever method you use, please do it right away, because this one has the potential to be pretty bad. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Automox's CISO IT podcast. Stay safe out there, and I will see you next time.